Hey guys, so it is the night before I'm supposed to travel down to Stanford again for another patch again. And so I'm just patching. I'm packing and doing all of my usual pre-patch stuff. And so I thought I'd kind of show you, and I apologize if my room looks a little messy. I've been not keeping up, but this is kind of what I have so far. So I know this doesn't look very organized, but I swear it is. So unfortunately, because of the way my schedule has been, I've had to do school and patches in work, so it's all kind of blending together. So since I'm going to be out for most of the week, I have my school supplies. Back here I have stuff for my lab. I have my computer. I have Sombra, which is good for, and obviously this is old, but it's good for like muscle aches, and I tend to get kind of crampy legs after lying down for so long. I have my favorite hot tea that I like to drink, as well as headphones. And then in here, even though it looks like a makeup bag, it is actually all of my meds. And I don't take all of these, but a lot of them are some of my my regular meds, and then some of them are my post-patch procedure meds, such as like pain reliever and nausea medication and that sort of thing. So that's kind of where we're at with that. When it comes to packing for my patches, I usually tend to pack pretty light. And the reason why is because once I have my procedure, I'm pretty much in the same clothes as I go in to the procedure with for the next couple days, just because I'm lying in bed, I'm not really doing anything, I'm not necessarily getting the clothes dirty, so I have clothes for going down there and the day of, but otherwise I don't really bring a lot of clothes. Most of it is stuff to keep me entertained, such as music, and like I'm bringing one of my books. This is my absolute favorite author, and if you guys, focus, if any of you guys like, why are you scratching the wall? I know you want to be outside, but that's not happening. There's coyotes outside. If any of you guys are into fantasy and werewolves and magic and that sort of thing, she is the person to read, because she makes such great characters and they're so well-rounded. And, you know, each adventure is different, and you never really have, you know, kind of repeats where the author starts to write kind of the same story every time. So I really, really like her. And so I've been attempting to get back into reading more, just as something that isn't work, isn't school, kind of winds me down. You can see I have all of my fallen soldiers here who have played their hardest and are now quite tuckered out. And then you have Mama, who is massaging the bed. The thing that I usually have are a pair of good and comfortable slippers, because at the point that I have my patch, you know, they recommend that you not bend down, so it's easy to just slide them on and go. When it comes to patches, it's a lot like any other surgical procedure where you're wanting to be comfortable, you're wanting stuff that's easy to get into. So I try to avoid, you know, skin tight clothing where you kind of have to push and pull and tuck to get into them, as well as stuff like shoes where you'd have to bend over and tie them. So that's usually kind of where I go. So my uniform is usually some kind of shorts or loose pants and like a loose sweater or loose shirt and slippers. So it's not very fashionable, but you're not really going for fashion when it comes to these things. If you were to count each injection as a patch, I've had 21 to date, I think, and I'm almost sure we're breaking a record somewhere. But in this last patch, I did experience some rebound headache, and I've had it twice before. And so this time around, I feel like it stuck around longer because we actually put myself on a diet. Hello? Were you wanting to get in on this? We put myself on a diuretic to kind of lower my CSF pressure as to not to bust the patch. Unfortunately, in my personal opinion, I don't think that it lasted. I do think that at some point the patch did blow, because as of, what's today, Saturday? Friday, so yesterday, my pain level really spiked, and it was a lot worse than it's been over the course of the last couple weeks since my last patch. So I really do think that whatever kind of benefits that I'd had from this last patch, I think busted is the best way to describe it. So I am really happy that we're going to be doing another patch, because it's always kind of a desperate measure, I feel like, where I'm trying to just make it to the next patch, make it to the next patch. I just need to get to the next patch. And unfortunately, I realized that a lot of people, a lot of people can't manage to get patches as often as I do, I think. And so I'm very, very fortunate and very grateful for the fact that I can get them as close together as I do. But I do realize that my health does tend to decline near when I'm supposed to get to the next patch, because the fibrin glue is a type of bio glue, so you do absorb it after, I think, like 4 to 6 weeks. I'd have to check my facts on that one. Something between 4 and 6 weeks. So usually if it's gonna fail at some point, it fails within that time frame. And so I still do have benefits from this last patch, but I do realize that I have kind of backslid. You know, my pain is a little worse. The numbness that I tend to get on my right side is worse, where I kind of feel like I'm stroking out. And so I understand that I don't think this last patch worked, but I do think that we are on the right track, which really gives me a little bit of hope, I think. At least we're not doing this just to see if it'll work. I mean, obviously we are, but we're not just doing this just because, there are signs that this is what we need to be doing and this is the right area that we're supposed to be working on. So that's kind of where we're at. And I really do apologize that I don't post more often. But as you guys know very well, it's very easy to run out of energy before you run out of things to do. And I definitely overloaded myself when it comes to work and comes to school. And I don't think I'll be doing this again. I started out this semester with 4 classes, and I ended up medically withdrawing from 1, and I am just this close to failing another one, simply because I just don't have the time. I don't have the energy. I can't stay on campus as long as I'd want because of the fear of kind of stranding myself, because I can run out of energy where I'm overly tired, and then I can't drive home, and I live a half an hour from my school. So a lot of times it comes down to, do I want to go home by myself without a ride, or do I want to get my homework done? And unfortunately, that has become something I've had to think about. So I definitely think that next semester I absolutely cannot do this workload again. And, if you look at my previous videos, I even said, I really think I'm biting off more than I can chew, but I've got to try. And so I feel like I know more of what my limitations are and what to expect from myself at this point in time. However, I did manage to convince my doctor, and it's not so much convincing my doctor as my doctor's secretary, but I was able to get a temporary disability placard, which will last for 6 months, which will get me through the next couple patches, which I'm really thankful for. So that was definitely a big victory for me. And something that's also happened recently is I finally am applicable to FMLA at my work. And we've gotten a lot of reasonable accommodation paperwork through. So my job is much more protected than it was before. And I can kind of take a little bit more of a breather knowing that I'm not going to lose my job over all of my medical stuff and, missing out on work because of it. So it's a really big load off for me to know that I'm not going to lose my job, because really there's been so much stress on me where I'm just working and I'm working harder and working longer than I should because I'm so afraid I'm going to run out of hours to cover the hours I'm missing because of my health stuff, and afraid of losing my job and afraid I'm going to be too sick to do my job. And so a lot of those worries can weigh on your mind. So knowing that I officially have FMLA and I have reasonable accommodation, it kind of takes a load off. It takes stress off of me knowing that I'm not going to be without a job, without money, without health insurance. So those have been a couple good things that have happened in the last little bit. But yeah. So things are going okay, we're making even, and, I really can't ask for any more than that, I think. And I definitely think that I've done a lot of introspection on my life and, what I want out of my life and the decisions I've been making and how those have affected me long term. And, I've been kind of thinking of how I want my life to go. And I think that it's so important for people who have chronic illness to have goals, to have long-term goals, even if those goals change, because you have something to work towards and you have something to focus you and you have something to make you feel like you have purpose. And that is so incredibly important, because I think that, at least for me, when I feel like I don't have purpose, it's like, well, why am I here? Like, why am I working so hard? What's the point? And so, thinking, what do I want out of my future? What do I want out of my life I think is so important, because you stay in tune with, what drives you to move forward, what drives you to move past the pain, what drives you past the exhaustion, what drives you past the heartache and the struggle and everything that comes with chronic illness. So, yeah, I think I've just been a lot more introspective and attempting to figure out what I want. Not what everyone else wants, not what everyone else expects of me, but what I truly want. And it seems so stupid because, it's, it's something that you feel like you should know, or you're supposed to know at a certain age, or, you feel like you shouldn't be thinking about these things this far down the road, or, what have you. But I think that periods where you're wondering, what are you doing? What do you want out of life? Happen over and over again throughout your lifetime. And I think that this is just one of those times. I'm not to say that I'm old, because I'm definitely not, but, I'm not 18 anymore. I'm not 19 anymore. I will be 25 in this coming year. So I'm at my quarter life crisis, and I even was joking with my parents. I'm like, I think I've crisised enough. Like, I think that 25 will be a quiet year. You know, there will be no quarter life crisis because I've ever gotten it over with. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. So I'm gonna finish packing, and then tomorrow we're going to drive down to Stanford and continue on this lovely adventure. So I hope you guys will stick with me and experience it the way I do, and maybe learn a thing or two. So I will close this video out by showing you all the kittens, all the sleeping kittens. Hello, sleepy face. Hello, sleepy face. Look at that. That's what I've got for you so far. So we will continue this conversation tomorrow.